Hi, I'm PrepperMark, and today I'm here to talk to you about a couple things I see missing out of most people's bug out bags. That's a tent and a sleeping bag. Now, why there's not more tents and sleeping bag and bug out bags, I have no idea. I see a lot of people put tarps in there, emergency blankets. I guess they're gonna figure they're gonna make some sort of shelter with a tarp and use emergency blankets to stay warm. Well, that would be great if that's all you had. But if you have a chance to put a tent and a sleeping bag in a bug out bag, you definitely need it. It's well worth the space, well worth the extra weight. It can be a lifesaver. To me, if you're walking and you're doing any amount of time in the wilderness, you should have a tent. Now, I see some people have tarps. I guess they're going to make a makeshift shelter out of a tarp. And if they're staying one place tonight and another place tomorrow night, they have to take all that time and energy to make some sort of shelter with that tarp, tear it down, and then do it again. With a tent, you just simply takes a couple minutes to set it up, and you're good to go. A couple minutes to tear it down, you're good to go. Now, me, for a tent, it can be a lifesaver. When you get in the wilderness area, and say it rains, you want a place where you can get into is dry. So you can set your tent up, you can get in there, and you can stay dry and wait out the rain. If you get a couple of days rain, I'd rather be in the tent for several days than to be out in the open with some sort of makeshift shelter made out of a tarp over me. Another reason to have a tent is insects. Now, you get in the wilderness area, mosquitoes will eat you alive. Black flies, you're in the area where there are black flies will bite you. And other kinds of insects just flying around in the wilderness area will just attack you and drive you nuts. So it'd be nice to get in a tent, get away from all of that, and feel relaxed for a little while. Another situation is snakes. Now, a tent isn't going to keep you 100% safe from getting bit by a snake, but I know a couple guys that were going trout fishing the first day a few years back. Well, I live in Pennsylvania. The first day of trout season, usually in the middle of April on a Saturday, 8 o'clock in the morning. Well, these guys got off work at 11 o'clock Friday night. So they drove to where they're going to go fishing at, parked alongside the road, hiked down in the mountains a little ways to their fishing spot. Well, the one guy wanted to put up a tent, and the other guy, nah, we're only going to be sleeping here for a couple hours. We don't need a tent. So they didn't have a tent. They slept in their sleeping bags. The next morning, the guy who wanted to put up a tent, he woke up and there was a rattlesnake laying about 5 feet away from him. Now, that could have been a deadly situation. A little bit closer, he rolled over, his arm came out of the sleeping bag, boom, he gets bit. Wake up with a rattlesnake crawling inside the sleeping bag with him, trying to keep warm, it's a bad situation. Or even waking up and see one laying right on top of your sleeping bag. I don't want to be in any of those situations. Like I said, a tent is not 100% snake proof, but at least they won't be in the tent with me. They'll be outside the tent. That's going to ease my mind a little bit more. Another reason, some reason we seem to have a lot of ticks around here, mainly in spring and in fall. I don't want to be laying out there and having ticks crawl in my sleeping bag and get all over me neither. So I want to feel safe and assured I don't have to worry about any of that. And like I said, if it's cold, it's windy, it's rainy, I definitely want to have a tent to seek shelter and just be comfortable as you can be in a situation like that. Now, there's several different types of tents you can get. This one on this side is a solo one-man tent. Now, basically, that don't give you much. That weighs like 3 pounds. The pack's really small, so weight and size is not an issue. But basically, you got enough room to get in there, out of everything, and get a good night's sleep with no real creature comforts. The one on this side is a Rika Timberline 4. Now, this one sleeps for 4 people. Not too bad in pack size. Weighs about 10 pounds with the ground tarp and everything. It's like I said, it's supposed to sleep 2 adults comfortably. Husband and wife, 2 kids can get in there and snuggle up without a problem. Has room for gear, and I'd rather have something a little bit bigger if I'm stuck in a rainstorm for several days where I got room to move. So to me, it's worth the extra weight. Now, there's another type. It's this is an A-frame. They make this in a 2-man size and a 4-man. I think there's a 6-man too. A 6-man weighs quite a bit. It's like 20 pounds, so that's quite heavy to go in a bug out bag. I would not recommend it at all. They also make dome tents. Dome tents are a nice tent. They're freestanding, you know, you just put it together, lash it out. This one here basically needs staked down for it to work. A dome, you can just put it together and not really have to stake it down. So when you buy a tent, you need to look for what size tent you want. Or there's one of you, two of you, you know, or 4 of you. So you need to figure out how many in your party is going to be sleeping in the same tent. Another thing is quality. You always want good name brand quality. That's why I bought the Eureka behind me. It's Boy Scouts has been using that forever. This tent's been around forever. It has nothing but excellent reviews. If something goes bad on it, it's easy to get a replacement part for it. So I picked it for that reason. And there's a lot of companies that make great, reputable, good brand tents. So you just need to search around and find out what's right for you. When looking, go on the internet, read reviews, you know, see what they say, and you know, if it sounds too good to be true price-wise, it probably is. I know this one cost me $200 to get a good tent, a solo tent. I think they're on sale right now. They start at $70 and go on up. Other tents, a good reputable, cost you, I'd say maybe $100 on up. I wouldn't buy anything cheaper than $100 unless it's a deal of the century, but make sure it's not a scam. Make sure it's a good name brand when you buy tents. And this one I know has what they call bathtub floor. There could be 4 inches of water out here right now, and I stay dry in that tent. So that's another reason why you want to find a good quality tent. You don't want to be sleeping and it's 40 degrees out or 30 degrees out. Wake up in the middle of the night, your sleeping bag soaking wet, you're soaking wet, all your gear in there soaking wet. That's just a sad situation. So the extra money's well worth the quality. Now another thing I want to talk about that's not in most people's bug out bags is a sleeping bag. Now I see a lot of emergency blankets. That's great if that's the only thing you have. But if you have a chance to put a sleeping bag in your bug out bag, you have to. I don't know, a lot of people must be going to sleep around the fire or something, but in a cold situation, if you're trying to snuggle up to the fire, the front of you is going to be nice and toasty, the back of you is going to be froze. And the only way to compensate that is kind of flip-flop back and forth. If you do that, you're not going to get any sleep. You're going to need all the rest you can. If you're in long walking situations or hard working situations to build a permanent shelter, you're going to need rest. You don't need to worry about flip-flopping all night long. So that's why I suggest getting a nice warm sleeping bag. Now I live in Pennsylvania and we have winters here, and it could go down to 0 or below in the middle of winter time. So for that reason, I want a good warm sleeping bag. Now sleeping bags have temperature ratings. This one's rated at minus 30 degrees, which means that 30 degrees below zero, this sleeping bag should keep me warm. Now I don't always trust the temperature ratings. To me, if I'm 10 below zero, I think I'd be great in this sleeping bag. Anything below that, it'd be iffy for me to believe in, but hopefully I'm not going to have to sleep out 30 degree below zero weather in a bug out situation. Hopefully I can come up with something to keep me warm other than a sleeping bag if I'm in a situation like that. So another thing is the size. You want to make sure you get a sleeping bag that fits your body with you being a little bit comfortable. Now they make gigantic sleeping bags where you can put you and your whole family into, but it's a lot of bulk and a lot of weight. This one here is on the bulky side and on the heavy side. This one weighs 7 pounds 4 ounces, a little bit bulky, but to me it's a comfort I want, so I'll put up the weight and the bulk. Now if it's 95 degrees out, I still use the sleeping bag. I just lay on top of it and I have that extra padding underneath to make me more comfortable. So depending on your climate, make sure you get a sleeping bag. It's going to keep you warm in any situation you're going to come in contact with. Sleeping bags, the best way to get sleeping bags, same way as your tent, is look for backpacking suppliers. Any company sells backpacking equipment. They're going to have the best tents, the lightest weight tents, and just like sleeping bags, they're going to have the best sleeping bags, the lightest weight sleeping bags, the best temperature rated sleeping bags for what you need. A good price for a sleeping bag is going to be anywhere from $100 on up. If you buy something for $30, it's supposed to keep you warm when it's 0 degrees out. I would not trust it to last. I would not trust it to keep you warm when it's 30 degrees out. Always go with the name brand on a sleeping bag. Always go with, check the reviews, search online on the internet. Look what other people reviews are about sleeping bag. You're always going to get a few negatives, but the more positives, the better it is. So always check these things when buying a sleeping bag. And like I said, when you buy anything in the bug out line, I always suggest trying backpacking equipment first. So there's several different companies that sell backpacking equipment and that sort of stuff. So just go with a sporting goods type place, a camping type place, and like I said, get name brand, get good quality. It may cost a little bit more, but it's well worth it. This one cost me $150. I got it from Cabela's. Cabela's no longer carry this one. They have another one, it's more expensive, and I think they got another one that's similar to this, a little bit cheaper, but always stick within your budget. You know, if your budget's tight, don't go out and buy a $400 sleeping bag when you could get a $150 one that do you just fine. So always stay within your budget, but always get the best quality you can afford, because in the long run, like I said in the tent, I want to wake up dry, and in a sleeping bag, I want to be nice and warm in a cold situation. Well, that's it for today, folks. Thank you all for watching. You all take care, and God bless.